Well, it is 2 o'clock and I am recording it. So the people that come in late, they can actually watch the recording. So thank you very much for logging into this webinar. So it's all about worker management, this one here, which is arguably one of the most used registers inside the system. So let's go to the worker management section. There's a lot of features inside here that you might have not realized that are actually inside the system. Even if you're been a long-term client or a new client, there's some other features that have gone into the system in the recent months. So obviously you can actually, when it comes down to relating an employee to a certain site, you can actually make them see certain different things. So when it comes down to it, this field here determines exactly what the person's going to see. So a lot of clients might type in, oh, hang on a sec, I can't see this. Well, the reason why you can't see that is because you're not related to the site that that data is related to. The site in red is always going to be your company name and your global site. So you're looking at, if you're a smaller company and say for an example, you want just everyone to see all the data, yes, you're going to relate it to you're basically going to relate it to what's called your global site. If you're a larger company with diverse areas or sites or departments, yes, you might say, for an example, relate a certain person to an individual site. So I'll just put that person on mute. So so you might put a person on there on an individual site. You can relate an individual to more than one site. So let's go to this hierarchical structure, probably explains it better. So when it comes down to it, anyone related to the global site, which is usually people on this meeting, you actually see all data from every single site. Remembering any data related to that site is seen by everyone throughout the system. So, but if you are a multi-site facility, you can actually relate people solely to an individual site. For an example, many clients who have sites in New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia, Queensland, etc. So you could actually put them as parent sites of all the individual states. Then underneath that, you can actually put your individual sites underneath that, of that state. So this state here literally becomes an independent system from all these other systems. They're only seeing data related to this site and data related to the global site. But they're also seeing all the data underneath them. So this site here is literally seeing all the data when they log in underneath that, as well as data related to that, and not these sites. So if you log into the system and you think, oh, hang on a sec, I can't see all these things relating to this plant item, or I can't see all these activities, or I can't see all these employees, it solely depends on the site that you're related to. So it makes the system very, very powerful in doing so. So what you need to do is just make sure is that your site structure is right. If you want a review of your site structure, just book yourself in for a meeting and we can review it and I can go over it with it and highlight what the best way to do it. So it's you're looking at, say for an example, if you're a council, which is a diverse business, you can relate all your policies and procedures to that site there, but you're looking at, you've got your parks and gardens or childcare. The people in childcare don't need to see all the safe work method statements relating to parks and gardens. So you could then break that up to all the parks or your childcare centres. Totally up to you how you want to do that. Now, it doesn't just have to be physically a site. It could be a department. It could be a client. We've got some people who literally are a one site place, but they've got multi-clients and they go to those clients all the time. You could do that because remembering any documents related to this site is related to that. So when you're looking at, when you're doing these employees, it's very important that this field here, that you relate the employee to the data that you want them to see. You can upload an image. It's probably a good idea for you to upload an image inside the system now because it now creates an ID card. So the system creates an ID card for the individual employee, which we'll get to in a sec. You've got three major permission levels. Global admin would probably be all the people in this meeting. Management would be that tier there. or maybe even this tier here. And employee permission level would be every other employee. So the employee permission level cannot see any data relating to any other employee. They cannot see the incident register. They can see the hazard register because they need to see that. They can see the contractor register because they're going to need to see that. But they can't see anything relating to any other employee's details. So if you want to filter your system so a certain person can't see a certain thing, relate them to an employee permission level. You can pick up their supervisor. These fields here at the moment, bit of a nothing field at the moment, but in the next 5 months, they're going to become very, very important because I'm doing a massive upgrade into the incident section that's now going to inbuilt the return to work section, make that even better, but I'm also building a claims section inside there that'll manage your claims. So, which will be a big factor with all this kind of processes here. Job start date, job end date, well, they're not mandatory fields, but it's a good idea to complete them. I had one client once that contacted me. They didn't fill in these fields, even though we found out when they entered the person into the database and deactivated them, where a person come back so many years later and said they had an incident at one of their sites and try to make a claim. And they didn't win because we actually found that, hang on a sec, they weren't even working at that period of time. So you don't have to, but it's a good idea that you do. All these fields are going to become important, especially when the claim section comes inside the system, because we're going to be adding some fields here. When the claims section comes inside the system, any data entering into here will actually auto populate certain fields in the claims section, so it'll save you a lot of time. Then you can edit that and monitor that. You can put medical conditions, emergency contacts, remembering you create your list here. If you do have a duplicate, or say an example, if you try to deactivate one and it is related to a site, will actually pop up, hang on a sec, you can't deactivate this qualification because it's related to certain other people. So it does have that safeguard there, so people can't delete or deactivate, get rid of a qualifications that's related to an employee. Alert date and expiry date. When you actually do those alert dates and expiry dates, you really want to set up your alerts inside the system so you receive that alert so you can book him in, especially if it's first aid, you can book him in so many months in advance. And you can add as many qualifications as you know inside the system. When you are uploading a certificate inside the system, please make sure it is a scanned document, which a lot of times it is, that you open up that scanned document and save as PDF, because even though it says it's a PDF after you actually scan it, it's not, it's an attachment. So just open it up, check that it works, and then save it again, then upload it. So it's, yes, we do have the new vaccination. Well, it's now been in the system for nearly 2 years. So actually 2 years. So it, so you've got the vaccination section inside here that links into the vaccination report section. Again, you can actually add your own vaccination types and so forth, third doses, whatever it may be that you want to do. And make sure if you do want them to receive an email alert, you put an email address in there. I had one client saying our people aren't getting email alerts. Well, the reason why, there was no email address in there. So it's pretty hard to get an email alert when you haven't got an email address. So just check that there. And just check that it's right as well. So when it goes into the system, yes, it does create a vaccination register up here, which is exportable, and you can export that in a variety of reports. You can do it by site or explicit. So try to make these. I did consultation with a couple of larger clients, but you also, I did that in consultation with a couple of the NDIS and aged care clients, because they have to meet these strict reasons. And if I can help them, then it's going to help with everybody, with everybody in their different things. As I mentioned, it does actually produce an ID card. So if I come down here and select View, and if I go download ID card, you've got all these different ones, because a lot of people were complaining that, hang on a sec, print an ID card and it's public. Well, hang on a sec, you can make it private, you can do all these different things, but you can download that ID card inside the system. And you can probably get one of those like security patches. If you haven't got one of those security patches, we've actually got access to do that. There's one good look and see, yeah. But if you scan that QR code, it will actually open up this on the person's mobile phone. Now you can make it private. That's why there's the different options there. But this ID card, well, obviously, you know, it's there to actually highlight that you've actually got systems in place. So it can actually make your facility or your company look really, really professional, because all the information on that ID card is in here, including their qualifications, their inductions they've done, the checklist they've done, the vaccinations they've done, the emergency contacts, all by scanning a QR code with your logo. If you want to know more about that, please don't hesitate to contact me and we can show you how that works. But we've also got it that we can actually print it on a badge if you wanted to. So again, you've got your employee ID, your logo, and a QR code on a badge. And if you're in a facility that, like, say, for example, Petbarn, who are a client of mine, it's you know, name badge on their employees with all the different things. We're taking that to the next level early next year, where that employee will also be able to scan that QR code on their badge to log an incident, log hazard, do a checklist, access all this information, all from that one QR code. It's like they're walking around with their system on a QR code. So let's go back to the employee register. So obviously you can publish this register in a variety of reports, remembering when you publish that, you can only see the person's username. You can't see their password for privacy reasons. If you want to unify all your employees' passwords, select this icon here, and you can come down here and basically reset the password. And then by selecting that again, going send username or password, as long as they've obviously got an email address inside the system, it will send them their username and password and a link to the website. So it's a great way for you to actually get all your employees up and running pretty quickly. So, but most of the people in this meeting have had the system for quite some period of time. So the employee register is linked to many things throughout the system. One of the major things that you're obviously going to be doing is inductions. So as you know, you've got your induction register, and you can actually build your induction inside the system. Recently, we've had a feature inside here that the QR code here actually works, and they can scan that, and you can actually relate that to the employee. Didn't have that before. So but you're looking at, most of the time, you'll actually build your induction and use the induction matrix to relate it to that employee. There's a new feature that we've put inside here. We had a couple of large clients, and they've got over 2,000 employees, and they want to induct their employees, you know, in bulk, make it much easier. So yes, you can select all employees, or you can select it from an individual department or site. You can filter it by position or qualification or permission role, but you've got to make sure that you actually apply the filter when you actually do that. And then you can select this to take them all over, or you can actually select that icon to take an individual person over. You can actually assign individual induction, or you can use this icon to select and assign all inductions. You can actually just select it as assign, reassign, probably the best way. Review date for continual improvement, whatever you want to do it. And then the due date when it's due by load. It'll actually put it into the next register, where you can then go, yes, I'm happy with all these people I've just assigned there. So if you've assigned it to 50 people, you will actually have the 50 people here. Then you can go next. You can go, yep, I'm happy you're going to send it that. Yeah, yes, I'm going to send it by email, submit. That's now email alerted Michael. It's gone into the manage induction register as orange. When he's completed, it'll go green. So you've got all these new features up here where you can actually see who actually has not actually undertaken an induction. Again, if you want to know more about this induction register, log in, book yourself in for a session. I can go over with you. So, but we had one client, they had a lot of employees, and they were doing it by the old induction section, and it was taking a long time to sign certain inductions, where now you can sign inductions in a matter of minutes. So it's so nice little upgrade in that kind of process there. A lot of people use the checklist feature, because the checklist feature, remembering you can actually relate this to an employee by opening that field. So you can build a checklist, open that field, being that this is the most used feature in the system. So if you're not using the checklist feature, you should be. If you want to know how to use it more, again, book yourself in for a training session. More than happy to help to get the most out of this session. But you might have noticed there's been a massive upgrade to this section, where now you have the ability to have a heading, a question, a text box, a checkbox, a radio button, and a drop-down list. Why is there a drop-down list in there? I've always wanted in there because you can now do surveys with your employees, which is pretty powerful. So it's you can watch the video that I've actually done on how to use the new checklist builder and so forth. But the big thing here, you can actually relate it to an employee. And if you've related it to an employee and they've done a checklist by QR code and they've selected their name from the signature box, or they've done it from that process there, if I select view and I go view history, remembering everything the employee does, all the incidents involved, hazards, all the inductions they've been involved with, I can see what they answered right or wrong in the inductions, or their to-do items that I've signed them, whether they've done it or not, their qualifications are here. So notifications, well, notifications, we're actually going to be updating this like SMS feature later on, but meetings is not there yet, but checklist is, anytime they've done a checklist and they've selected their name, it actually saves it here as well. So you've got a record of that there as well. The alert section, this is something that a lot of people are requesting, is when you've actually sent an alert and you set it to an individual person. Let's just say that person's been set for an incident alert, a hazard alert, or all the other alerts that it can be set for, and then they leave. Well, you don't know what alerts they are actually set to unless you actually go through every single individual alert. And if you're multi-site, it's painful. So here, we're going to be adding a feature in the new year where you'll be able to see all the alerts that the person set to, and then click a button and go, yeah, I want to set that to Michael Fulcher instead of Phil Bamford. So you've got actions, again, any actions that's been set to the employee. Yes, it goes into the action register, but we're going to have them here as well. And you can actually make notes next to that employee by selecting add note, and they will be actually housed in that other section just there. So you're looking at it, when an employee logs into the system, they're going to see a different dashboard than you. They're going to see this dashboard. And you might select this and go, well, hang on a sec, they've got all these things. No, they don't. They only have a view icon, a signed document icon, and upload, download. That's all they can do. So they can't delete this. If they select the active, inactive, they can't delete it. They can't make it inactive. They have minimal kind of use, but everything that they do is actually recorded inside the system in a log anyway. So we are looking at doing a fourth permission level, which is a supervisor permission level. So but we've got some other really good stuff coming into the system prior to that. Yep. So if I got contractor section, a lot of people go, oh, I don't use contractors. Well, you do. So you've got people coming out to do your fire extinguishers or your electrical work and all those different things. So there's two types of contractors. There's contractors that you hire to come out to undertake work at your site to fix something. And there's contractors that you actually hire to undertake work for you to do something. So it's very important that you get all their details inside the system, because we've had, this is a big risk factor for any business. So you can enter the contract details inside the system. You can relate them to a location. This is the email that's sent out. But as I say to a lot of people, it's a good idea you do it yourself the first time, and then set the link to update them to do it from then on. So if you don't want them to do it the first time, make sure you take your email address out here so there's not an email address in there, because if you don't, it'll email them out this 4-step compliance form. So you can, vary that up. You can add attachments to this email, but you can change this email if you wanted to put whatever it is that you want. So it's coming from you instead of the system. So upload your documents, it'll be an attachment on that email. So you might say, please download the attachments on the email and upload them in the such and such section inside the contractor section. Again, if you want to know more about that, if you've got a lot of contractors, you want to manage them, book in for a session, we'll go over that. You can sign an online induction. So yes, if you tick this box here, that's actually going to bring up the induction register after you actually finish this, where you can assign that contractor as many inductions in that register as you wish, just like when you're assigning an employee. So then you can update, and it'll send an email if their email's in there, or you can resend email if you're updated and going happy with everything. And now I do want to send the contractor an email. You can resend email, but as I mentioned, the first time you do it, it's a good idea that you actually do it yourself, and or if you send your data to us, I can get my girls to do it and upload all that data. There is a slight cost, but it's probably cheaper for us to do it than your time. They can follow a step-by-step instruction. As you know, it's got the helper throughout the system to go through step-by-step on how to actually enter all that data. But in that video, I also highlight their duty of care to complete this form correctly. They enter the contractor's details inside the system. Make sure they can actually upload a photo, because we actually are updating the contractor ID to look like the employee ID after we put these 2 major features coming into the system in the next 4 to 5 months, just to make it look good, because we've had that request from a lot of clients. They can actually take the assigned induction, but as mentioned, you might want to send it via an attachment and get them to upload their results here. It'll do the same thing, especially if they select an induction, it'll go into their induction records. They can enter their qualifications. At the moment, there is no separate vaccination section, but it is programmed for next year. So they can add their employee, upload their safe work method statements and policies, and go through and follow the 4-step process. But most importantly, they enter all their insurances with alert dates and expiry dates. So when this is going to get its upgrade next year, you'll be able to have the ability to add other things that you want them to upload here as insurances, because every business is different. It might be working at heights. There's 2 different types of insurance. There's one at 10 meters and one 20 meters, or whatever it is. But there's different types of policies relating to different types of activities, and we've identified that, and we're going to be putting inside the system. So but again, it's going to be after these other major upgrades are coming inside the system here. When you actually set that up, it will go into the system as red. The contractor will actually complete it. Then it'll go orange, and then basically you would actually select on you would select on the view section. And you would view all their details. It does create the ID, as I mentioned, for the individual contractor, but that will be with an ID card and photo now, instead of you going, well, that person could be anybody really. So and all their documents sit here. This was a great idea from a client years and years ago. She went, 400 contractors, Phil, it would be really good if I can actually send the contractor an email alert when their insurances and qualifications are expiring. And then it sends me an email alert that they've expired or about to expire as well if they haven't done it. Great idea. So it's a good idea that you select these tick boxes if you haven't already. And then obviously you need to meet your duty of care, making sure you've checked all those documentations, that they're right, and verify. So if I go, you might have seen that there was a checklist log down there. So if I select view, show checklist. So you could also, if you wanted to, build a checklist relating to entry, for an example, and you're relating to entry, but you open this field and they select their contracting company's name. So you can do it like that, where they complete a checklist on the way in, because it will save it against that contracted company name. So you might put the questions might be contractor induction or site induction. You know, what company are you working for? They've already selected, but you get it again. Ask them their name, all their details, all the questions you want. A good idea is please actually, make a question that says, that they need to upload their photo. So you might have seen that the checklist builder has had a big upgrade. It got more functionality, as I mentioned before. But if you do, just book in for a meeting. But here it's a great idea that you actually put that photo there. Please take your photo to verify your thing. So you got their name, you got their company, you got their photo, and they're going to sign on screen. So, and all of that is saved against the contractor record. So just stuff like that, or you can actually use the sign on site feature to manage people coming on and off your site. Every single site creates a QR code. When they scan that QR code, you can actually build or copy this form. This form is in the help section in the help for resources. They scan that, they enter their phone number, they bypass this, they enter their details, they can bypass the COVID questions, or you can make it bypass automatically, and it logs them in and it keeps it into a site log. So stuff like that, you can actually manage your contractors like that, or you can manage it via the checklist builder. It's totally up to you how you want to do that. So it kind of other features inside the system is like you're looking at, well, obviously, I'll be highly recommending that you induct your employees to all the safe work processes, their plant and equipment, their policies via the induction builder, because it is keeping it into that employee's log. And that's something a lot of people aren't doing. And not only that, like say for an example, one of the big things in relating to safety legislation is consultation with your employees. A lot of people aren't using this meeting builder, and you should be. So if you go add meeting, you got meeting types. So it's and basically at the end of the day, as I say to everybody here, like all clients, is that your first, if I put my agenda, whatever it is, but your first topic should be outstanding actions. You would go to the action register, print out your action register, and then you would actually go through your normal agenda and go through that there. Remembering you can make this a toolbox talk, and you can do that kind of process. So big features coming inside the system. We're actually creating a feature for the safe work method where you can build, it's going to be a form builder where you can actually, instead of upload, download feature in the safe work method, it's going to be even more powerful than the checklist feature where you'll be able to build your own forms. We're talking about any form, confined spaces, working at heights, all these different things inside this system. It's going to be a big feature. It should be in the system, I would say, by September this year. Then the incident section is getting a major upgrade. And that major upgrade is going to include a big injury management claims process inside that there. And then to complete the kind of, the big feature, which is going to be this new third-party report section that I built. So yes, you've got reports into the system relating to, the current reports that it builds for incidents and builds for hazards. But a lot of people go, yeah, but I want to build my own reports. I want to see more statistics other than that's been set. So imagine having the ability to have a template, and this template's going to look far better than that. And then from that there, you'll be able to build your own dashboards. You'll be able to build forms inside that there. You'll be able to build reports that are generated daily, weekly, monthly, 3 monthly, 6 monthly, any time frame that you want. And you can make an email alert your boards or your management, upper management, or anything you want automatically on those designated timeframes. It's costing a fair bit to get that third-party software. It is like, say, for an example, the WalkMe feature that I've got down here. But it's going to be a massive benefit to all the clients. Is there any extra charge for that? No, there's not. So it's just, as you know, I've upgraded the system constantly as it's going through there. And over the years, especially clients have been with me for quite some time, And but when those features comes inside the system, it's going to take it to the next level. So as mentioned, like if you do need any help, you know, obviously, you know, you've got your ticket support system, you put in a ticket and the girls will get back to you. And if they don't, and they can't answer the question, they'll speak to me. We've got a new employee on our books now, Kanti. He's on this meeting here. He's highly credentialed with WHS. So he's got all the qualifications, and we put him on because he can actually help with a lot of consultancy work now. So it, which is great, and obviously I'm getting busier and busier and busier. So he's going to be helping me out, actually, you know, looking after clients and doing certain things and helping them get the most out of their system. Well, hope everyone's okay and all's well, and hope you're happy with how the system's going. Do apologise that the system was down there for that 20 minutes, but it's out of our control. But that's why we pay Veeps, to make sure that everything gets up as quick as possible. And if you do have any questions, as I mentioned, please don't hesitate to send me an email. You know, I'll either ring you up or reply. So yeah, hope everything's good. Thank you for your time, and good day.